Hello and welcome. In this video, I'm going to be doing the first Ethernet run. This should be the easiest one. I'm going to be removing this old thermostat in the middle that is no longer in use and was left there. And we're going to use the old line in the wall and pull the new Ethernet through. So this should be very easy. You can see it's a little bit stuck, and anytime you have something painted onto the wall, a lot of times your wall plates are going to be painted onto the wall. You want to take a knife and cut the paint around it so that when you pull it off the wall, it doesn't take a bunch of extra paint with it and leave you with some paint to repair. So you can see just a little tap and it loosens up, comes off the wall, and it didn't take a bunch of extra paint with it, so that's good. So we pull the old thermostat off, and there's the wire that we'll be able to use to pull the Ethernet through. We'll just cut the plate off, and then we will be tracing the hole that we need to cut. So this is the bracket that came with the TP-Link wireless access point that I got. And here I'm just trying to get a general idea where the top of the good thermostat is. I want them to be close to level. We're not building a church, so it doesn't have to be perfect, but I want them to line up pretty closely on the top. And now I'm getting the measurement to the bottom of the hole and marking that. So with that marked, I know where the bottom of the hole is, so that when I put the access point on, it's going to line up with the top. And now I just need to trace around the hole and cut it out. Now after putting the access point up there and taking a look about where it would be, I changed my mind. It was just too close to the thermostat, so I moved it over about 3/8 of an inch to the left and drew my two vertical lines again, just to give it a little space from the thermostat. So with that drawn out, I can cut the paint. Again, it's always a good idea to cut the paint. That way it doesn't blow out. Now, I have plaster on the wall, so it makes cutting the paint very difficult. You're basically cutting like on concrete, so it doesn't cut as easy as it would on drywall. And you can see, despite my best effort, that big chip did come out. Now it's not a problem because the access point is going to be covering that, but that is why you want to cut around the paint, is to avoid that from happening. Here we are in the basement, and I'm cutting the sheathing off the thermostat wire right here, and then I'm going to cut a couple of the wires out. I'm going to only use 2 out of the 4 to pull. You just want to, you don't want your head to be too bulky, or your splice where you're pulling. You don't want it to be too bulky so that it catches on things. So we're eliminating, we only need, I could probably have pulled that with 1 wire, so we're just going to eliminate a few of the wires just so that connection isn't as bulky. There's just less of a chance for it to snag on something. And this is generally how I will make my connection when I'm using another wire to pull with this wire. Simply twist the lines around each other and then take a little bit of electrical tape, and that ensures that they're not going to untwist. This run I really didn't need to do this because it's just straight up the wall, and it's the hole is big enough. There's nothing that it's going to be catching on. But if you do have a longer pull to do, this is a really good idea just to ensure that it doesn't pull apart. Here I'm just cutting the sheathing of the Ethernet wire. You don't want to cut too deep and cut into the actual data cables. You just want to cut the outer jacket. You're basically just kissing it with that knife, and then the sheathing will just break right off. Now this is how I do my Ethernet. I put orange to the left, green to the front, brown to the right, blue straight behind, and then I untwist them. And then you can see what I do here. Basically that way all the wires line up in the correct orientation, and it makes it very easy. And then I give it a little kind of a wave bend back and forth, and you don't want to do that too much. Otherwise you could potentially be breaking the wires, but it does help them lay down and to stay lined up if you do that. And the rest is pretty self-explanatory. You cut the excess off, you throw the RJ45 on, and give it a crimp. One thing you want to make sure before you crimp it is that the wires are all the way to the end of the RJ45 jack, so give it a look. I know it's kind of hard to see, but they're all at the end. You can also look at the side. And that's it. You can see here we're mounting the bracket, and then we put the RJ or the Ethernet into the back of the access point. This is going to get power over Ethernet, so no power cables to plug, and it just slides in. And you can see this doesn't cover the whole area, but I'm just going to have to paint the walls later. There's a lot of other holes left by the previous owner that I need to fix as well. So anyway, you can see here I'm running the Ethernet, just following along the antenna wire there, and then it's going into the network box where everything's going to end up. It's ran right into the patch panel there. Of excess just in case something needs to change down the road. So that's it for this video. Thank you for watching.